And welcome one and all to this brand new episode of Casted to the King. I am your host, Joshua Mickle, and we are going to dive into today's show, talking Titans and their recent lackluster defeat, going 0-2, dropping the L versus the New York Jets, 24-17. This game, first things right off the bat, this defense, it has surpassed all of our expectations. This defense, from Snead to Sweat to everyone in between, going into this year, everyone thought, oh, this defense could be good. Oh, we might have a really good D-line. Oh, we may have really good secondary people. I question if we may have some depth at linebacker. I'm not sure how good our linebackers can be. All of those questions through 2 games this year should be quenched, forgotten about, move on, and just live with it, because this defense is legit top 10. It was ranked number 1 after the Bears game in the NFL. Number 1 defense ranked in the NFL after week 1. Now, going into this Jets game, they held the team. When you look at this box score, they gave up 24 points. Now, when you do some digging up and research and when you watch the game, you'll know why this defense gave up 24 points. And we will start with the main culprit here, with one Will Levis, the quarterback of the Tennessee Titans, drafted in the 2nd round last year in the draft out of Kentucky. When he made the decision of, I'm falling down, let me try to toss it to my teammate and let him make something. Oops, there goes a defender for a pick 6. That essentially happened again. You've got to be kidding me. As a Titan fan, you can't. How does this happen? Twice this happens. Will Levis does a bonehead decision. The defense is shutting out Aaron Rodgers in the first half. You scored a touchdown. You're up 7-0. You're driving down the field again, possibly to go up 14-0. If at most, if at minimum, you're getting at least 3 points. You're getting at least 3 points to make it 10-0. Sound familiar? We went up 17-0 on the Bears last week, and we lost that game 24-17. So, same story here. We're driving down the field, but instead of the game backbreaker losing INT he tosses it backwards to a teammate who has no idea that he's expecting a toss play, because why would anyone toss it in their particular direction? And cost the Titans at least 3 points, but we're going to, because of how the drive was going, Will Levis cost the Titans points. And another culprit we'll get to later with the special teams, which we will get into later. But Will Levis, through 2 games of this year, it's not looking good. It's not looking good if you are Will Levis, if you are a Will Levis fan, if you are a fan of the Tennessee Titans. This is not looking good for none of this is looking good at all. None of it. And when he made that boneheaded interception, our head coach, rightfully so, you could see him mouthing it on the sideline, running up to Will Levis, saying, "What the bleep did you do? What the F did you just do? You don't make those mistakes." And I will go to my grave and say the following. I want the camera on me right now. I will go to my grave believing that the following Titans quarterbacks who have never made these boneheaded toss, like going down to the ground and trying to make something out of nothing and turning the ball over, like the pick six last week and the fumble that cost the Titans points this week. The following: Billy Volek would have never done that. Vince Young would have never done that. Not even Kerry Collins could have done that. Or did he? Yeah, no, not even Kerry Collins would do that. No. Marcus Mariota would have never done that. Jake Locker would have never done that. Ryan Tannehill would have never done that. I can go through the bevy of Titans quarterbacks that we have hedged our hopes on of being somewhat good. Quarterbacks that have done well for us in particular years, 2008 with Kerry Collins, for example, or Billy Volek coming in for us with Steve McNair being injured in the early 2000s. Didn't pan well. That's not the case. That's not the case. None of them would have made the turnover, boneheaded, moronic moves that Will Levis has done 2 weeks now into this first season as him being a full-time starter. And all of that talk about Will Levis possibly losing his job by week 3 or 4 that we covered on the show is not so crazy anymore. It's not so crazy anymore, especially when you have this defense. This defense is probably one of the best we've ever seen since 2008. This defense is being wasted so badly. This defense is being wasted with the talent that we have, the overperforming linebackers we have. Harold Landry is showing up. He's putting his stamp of approval of why he's getting paid the big bucks, of why he got that contract extension after 2021. He is laying the hammer out there today. So is Travantray Sweat. So is Jeffrey Simmons. So is Arden Key in some plays. Our corners, they are covering as well as you want them to cover. Our blitz packaging, our 3-1 defense is lighting them up. You can ask no more of your defense. And in this game, you take away the turnover fumble from Will Levis. You take away the INT, which, by the way, the deep throw to Traylon Burks, he should not be on the field anymore for this team. Traylon Burks is wasted spot. He's wasted space. Stop calling plays for him. We saw later on in the second half of Calvin Ridley getting placed down the field. Slightly overthrew Calvin Ridley the first time. Did miss him the rest of the way. One resulted in a touchdown and a deep heave that we haven't seen the likes of which since Will Levis' debut with DeAndre Hopkins of all times. This team is a playoff-ready team. This team in Nashville should be 2-0. It's not. And it's the thing that we have to suffer and just die by the sword with this fact right here. It doesn't matter how good our defense is. It doesn't matter how much better our O-line is. It doesn't matter how much better our wide receiving core is. This year is dependent on if the quarterback play clicks, it improves this offense. And right now, Will Levis's play is not helping. He is costing us games. He is costing us moments where this should be a 2-0 team. Going into next week versus Malik Willis and the Packers of all teams to possibly go 3-0. Tua Tagovailoa is out with a concussion. That's another win that should be on the docket for the Titans. This team going into their bye week should be undefeated. But we don't know what's going to happen in those next two games. For all we know, the Packers are going to run up and down the field on us, and then all of the Malik haters out there, if it happens, the moment Malik Willis defeats Will Levis in Nashville this early in the season, every single Malik Willis hater, doubter out there should have their football fan knowledge card revoked. They should have their card revoked immediately and never listen to them again, because the hate for Malik since he got here in the last 2 years, some of it rightfully so, but some of it not so on him because, again, we're in this situation because of Mike Vrabel and his stubbornness to begin with. We are in this situation because of John Robinson. We are not in this situation because of Malik Willis. Malik Willis was just a casualty of war. He's a casualty of war that the last head coach and coaching staff wanted to throw it to the wayside. Didn't come up with a game plan for him. Didn't develop around his skill set. Didn't do any of that. None of that at all. None of it. And Brian Callahan was able to snag up a 7th-round pick for him because he was able to do something with him this preseason. And now there's the opportunity that Malik Willis could possibly come into Nashville next week and just lay one on the fans. And I don't want anyone poo-pooing him. I don't want anyone poo-pooing the Titans. You have yourselves to blame if that happens. Probably won't happen, but it's most likely. I mean, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. This defense, to go back on it, the scoreboard says 24 points. How did the 24 points converge and happen? The 24 points were a result of the following. 3 points came on the heels of another blocked punt. Again? 2 weeks in a row? And I am not football savant enough to ask or know, when was the last time a blocked punt happened to a team 2 weeks in a row? I would have to think really, really, really hard on that. Maybe the Dolphins last year, if I had to say. Yeah. Or when was the last time, if at all, in NFL history, in the 100-plus year history of the NFL, if at all, has a team in the first 2 weeks of the season have back-to-back games with blocked punts? I don't know if you can find it. I wouldn't be shocked if we're the first to do it. I wouldn't be shocked if we are the first team to do it. Anywho. 3 points a result of our blocked punt that gave the Jets 3 points. The Jets scored their first touchdown coming off of the second turnover in a row from Will Levis when he won it, when I guess the play was dialed up for Traylon Burks to go deep. And Traylon Burks go up there, jump at it, grab it. You're a big boy. Go snatch it from the defender. Nope, he can't do that apparently. He can't do that. I'm sorry, he can't do it because he's gone. Traylon Burks is just no longer with us. He is no longer with us, and he has just wasted space in a bust of a first-round wide receiver. Forget the fact that he's a A.J. Brown replacement. Just say he's a first-round wide receiver. He is a radical, unequivalent, unarguable bust of a first-round pick wide receiver. And so, with the way the game was leaning, the Titans, I believe, yes, they went into halftime with a 10-7 lead. But off the heels of those 2 turnovers that resulted in eventually the Jets scoring 7 points. And then the offense isn't doing jack squat. And if you're this Titans defense who's balling out, only to see your offense just be pathetic after drive after drive after drive. There's only so much bending and bending and bending your defense can do for you. I would say if we don't give up the punt, if Will Levis does not, if those 2 turnovers didn't result in 7 points, yeah, once again, like last week, 10 points we have given to the opponent, which is the difference of the game because that results in yet another win. It would be another 17-14 win Titans. But we're dealing in what-if-isms. So, what to expect going forward, going into the Packers game with Will Levis and company? What should we expect? With the win this week against the Colts that Malik Willis and the Packers have accomplished, there's more likely than not that Malik Willis will get the starting nod over Jordan Love, who was rumored to possibly only to miss 1 game, which you mess up your MCL, I don't know how you come back in 1 week. That's unheard of. That's unheard of. He's probably going to be out at least the next 3-4 weeks. So Malik Willis is going to get that starting gig against us. And then, again, it's going to be another week against a decently good defense. And our O-line has held its own this year. Our O-line has done the best that you can think of. It's just the turnovers and the quarterback play of this team that's holding this team back from such potential. And it's the long and sufferable drive we have to go through this year to figure out, is Will Levis the quarterback of the future? And if we have to suffer losses of games we know we should be winning, so be it. So be it. It has to happen. We have to find out. If we win in the process and he is the guy, awesome. We're way ahead of schedule. But this team in Nashville, the 2024 Titans, Rand Carthon and Brian Callahan have built unquestionably a playoff team. They have built a playoff team that if you put the right quarterback in this system, on this team, this is a playoff team. This is a 2-0 team, at least. This is the playoff team, and there's no denying it. And we will close out the show with some entertainment news with my favorite superhero, Spider-Man 4. The Tom Holland sequel to No Way Home has found a director, and none other than Dustin Cretton from Shang-Chi fame. Yeah, Dustin Daniel Cretton from Shang-Chi is directing Spider-Man 4. This news is really interesting. It piques a lot of interest and it raises a few eyebrows, and especially with the rumors that have come out and subsequently after that. There have been rumblings that this movie has been supposedly a street-level movie. Supposedly a street-level movie featuring Kingpin and a couple baddies, including a team up with Daredevil to take on Kingpin, Scorpion, or others. Maybe there's the rumblings of how Venom or the symbiote can be involved in this supposed street-level movie. How you do that, I don't know. But Marvel is in charge of it, and I trust them. And they've done nothing but the best when they've handled this property. But since the announcement of Avengers Kane Dynasty being swapped out for Avengers Doomsday, and then thus that's going into Secret Wars. There is a whispering rumor that this particular movie is going to be set on Battleworld. That this movie will immediately follow the events of whatever cataclysmic event happens at the end of Avengers Doomsday. That follows all these characters, including Spider-Man, to have their sequel told on this alien planet called Battleworld. What is Battleworld, you may ask? Battleworld in the comics is this planet that either, depending on which comic you read, the Beyonder or Doctor Doom, or in some cases Kang, which was going to be the case originally. I mean, hey, maybe it still is. Who knows? We haven't read the script yet. That this takes place on Battleworld. Battleworld is a place where you have all sorts of universes, timelines converging into one particular place, and it's just a battle royale. And famously, in this comic line, is where we are introduced for the first time ever on the comics, on the pages of comics, of Spider-Man getting his black suit, a.k.a. the symbiote, a.k.a. the Venom suit. They have set up and teased a symbiote being in this universe already. They have teased that already, that potentially in the 4th or 5th film, we are going to get the black suit on Spider-Man at some point in these next 2 movies. The rumor that this is going to be taking place in between Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars leads to a pretty interesting take for a Spider-Man film, like the last one we saw, a take we have never seen before on film. Yes, we've seen Spider-Man in space in Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame. We see that. Sorry. We've seen that, but we've never seen a solo story told on said planet. And what would this mean? Well, if you're getting a guy like Destin from Shang-Chi, you know your fight sequences are going to be top notch. You're getting Destin, you are going to get a great story. You're going to get a really good story out of this director, and you got the writers from the previous Spider-Man MCU films coming back, and Chris and Eric. So everything is lining up for this particular movie to be really good. But with it with this being under lock and key, the speculation cannot be any more rampantly high. This is set for a potential 2026 release date, set in between, after the release of Avengers Doomsday. And with the way this is all coming together, there is going to be a very slim chance this comes out before Avengers Doomsday. It's going to be very slim pickings. Something would need to happen tomorrow. They're going into production tomorrow. Here are the characters. Here's the cast. Here's the producers. Here's the editors. Here's all of this and that. Here's the premise of the movie. All that would have to be announced yesterday, as soon as possible. And so I don't think we're going to get any of this until early next year in 2025. And then you do the build out of how long it takes for a turnaround for announcing a Spider-Man movie, with Marvel at least, and then by the time the movie comes out, it's roughly a year and a half. So by the time they roll cameras and by the time the movie is released in theaters, it would have been at least a year and a half. So this film is poised for a July or August 2026 release. And so the question, if any at all, for this particular movie Is this going to take place in between Avengers, Doomsday, and Secret Wars? Or is this going to be an Ant-Man and the Wasp situation where after Infinity War, you had that movie come out, but that movie took place before the events of Infinity War. And then you saw the post-credit scene of what happens after the events of Infinity War. Do we get a Spider-Man? Do we still get a Spider-Man grounded movie that is a prequel to Avengers Doomsday? And thus, after the movie's over, you get a post-credit scene on Battleworld. That could be a possibility. That very well could be a possibility. But we will have to wait and see and find out. And to lastly close out the show, three things from today's games in the NFL. One, the Ravens are 0-2. I'm sorry, they're not 2-0. They're 0-2 with Derrick Henry. So, yeah. You lost to the Raiders. How did that happen? How do you lose to the Raiders, who are trying to get Carson Beck and Shedeur Sanders? How do you let that happen? And another thing is Tua Tagovailoa, the Dolphins quarterback, just suffered another concussion. And there have been rumblings that he could very well retire. Could he retire? I don't know. Should he retire? I honestly don't know. Sorry. Long day today with work. So we had a power outage this weekend. So sorry for my yawning. So where was I? Oh yeah, Tua. Should he retire? I don't know the answer to that question. If he's having such concussion issues, they have come out with this thing called the Guardian Cap. Our tight end Josh Wiley wears it. It looks like a big freaking it looks like a big cloth over your helmet. But what it actually is if you look at like team photos for training camp, you see like pads around the helmet during training camp. That's what the Guardian Cap is. That's what the Guardian Cap is on game day. It's just that same padding around your around the outer part of your helmet, and then you put like a piece of cloth that matches your helmet design to make it seamlessly on the field from like for cameramen and other folks watching the game in person or on the TV. So if Tua does indeed come back, I'm curious, is he going to give that a try? Because this helmet that he is supposedly wearing is supposedly the first of its kind, specifically made for him, specifically made to address these concussion issues. There's that. Another thing is in the NFL. If you are a Panthers fan, you are living in the doldrums of waste, dumpster fireisms, and one of the worst owners in the NFL. This owner and Tepper, these last two games, including today versus the Chargers, it don't matter who the quarterback is. If it's Bryce Young, Will Levis, C.J. Stroud, every quarterback that goes through Carolina is going to suffer the same fate that the Cleveland Browns and Oakland Raiders of old have suffered. The Oakland Raiders and the Cleveland Browns of the early to mid 2000s, after the Tuck Rule, essentially, and after the Bottlegate incident with Cleveland. Ever since those two events, that's what you're living in Carolina. So, and recently we just had Arch Manning come in for Quinn Ewers at Texas. And if you think you have a good chance of landing Arch Manning, say, next year, I'm going to just tell you kick rocks. Not that I'm saying that maybe the Titans trade up over everybody with a trade we've never seen before to get Arch Manning to Tennessee in 2 years. I am not being that dubious of a person right now. I'm saying kick rocks in the sense of the same, like for the things that I've said about the Panthers and what doldrums they're in right now. You know who else sees that? Arch Manning. You know who else sees that? The Manning family. The Manning family is NFL royalty. If they say no to a particular thing, they are going to get their way somehow, some way. Eli Manning did not want to go to New York. I mean, he did not want to go to San Diego. He gets traded to the Giants. There was rumblings that the third brother could have been something at quarterback. They did not want him to be quarterback, apparently, according to the family. This next Manning in the bloodline of Mannings has legs, has a good arm, and knows where to place the football when it needs to be placed. And he's not going to want to go to Carolina. And he may not want to go to New York either. If you're a Giants fan, he may not want to go to New York. He's going to want to go somewhere where maybe, besides Carolina, he's going to want to go somewhere that Peyton Manning and Eli Manning had never played before. Eli's been in only one place, as far as I'm aware of, with New York. Arch is not going to the Broncos anytime soon because they got Bo Nix, and the Colts have Anthony Richardson, so they're going to ride with him at least the next 2 years. And so they'll be too late in the in the Arch Manning sweepstakes. Yeah, if you are a Panthers fan, you're going to be in it for the long haul, and there's just no hope anymore for you, unfortunately, because you need a overhaul starting with the owner and David Tepper. You need to start with the owner first and then work your way down with general manager, head coach, skilled players, O-line, quarterback, because it's a crapshoot down there. And that will do it for us today. My name is Joshua Mickle, and before I sign off, be sure to like and subscribe and comment below on this YouTube channel and this YouTube video. What do you think of the Titans' lackluster start? Is it all Will Levis's fault? Is it not his fault? If it's not his fault, I'd like for you to chime in the comments. What do you think is at fault for us being 0-2 right now? Have the Jets finally figured it out with Aaron Rodgers finally? Should Tua retire? What do you think of Spider-Man 4? Should this take place in outer space? Should it be on Battle World? Should the next Spider-Man movie be a grounded New York City street level film before we get these team up movies with Avengers and Doomsday and Secret Wars? Comment below. Let me know what you guys think about all of that. And until next time, my name is Joshua Mickle. And as always, keep kicking it to the king.